On the day of my death, my sister's wedding went ahead as planned. She put on a wedding dress and married my boyfriend. My mom called me several times but I didn't answer. She angrily called me an ungrateful bitch. My brother messaged me, scolding, "Are you so petty, still holding on to something that happened 2 years ago?" My usually quiet dad said with a sullen look, "Tell her, if she doesn't come home today, we'll no longer consider her our daughter." They didn't really want me to come home, they just didn't want my sister's wedding to be incomplete without my blessings, but I was dead. Since I was very young, I knew that I was not liked in this family. When my mom came back from her business trip, she brought 2 new toys, and gave them to Joshua and Vivian as gifts. She was about to leave after the sharing, but I stopped her and reminded her in a soft voice, "Mom, what about me? You want one too?" she asked. My mom frowned and replied impatiently, "This toy is expensive. I didn't bring enough money on me, so I didn't count you in." At that time, I was only 5 years old, but I already had a vague sense of other people's attitudes toward me. Besides, how could I not understand her feelings for me? She was, after all, my biological mother. So I said nothing more, and went back to play with the ragged doll my sister threw away. It was so worn, that the cotton filled inside started leaking out through the seams. And now, at my sister's wedding, after my mom finished chatting with some relatives, she walked into a corner where nobody else could see, turned her back, and dialed my phone number for another time. Again, there was no answer. By the third attempt, the call was hung up directly. She looked as if someone had grabbed her by the neck and choked her, staring in disbelief at the disconnected phone and saying, "Willow, I'm your mom." Joshua walked over and patted her back to comfort her. "Mom, calm down. It's not worth it to get angry over Willow Jones. Don't you already know what kind of scumbag she is?" My mom finally found an outlet for her feelings of anger and frustration with her beloved youngest son. "I put the most effort into Willow out of the 3 of you. She was conceived as one of the twins, but only she made it in the end. Even the doctors must agree that she only got born because she had sucked her twin brother dry while in my uterus." I've heard her repeat this saying countless times throughout my life. In most cases, I ended up being punished for the sin I was born with and locked in my room, while they, a family of 4, went out and had fun. "Mom, relax. I will get her here today, even if I have to tie her up and drag her here." Joshua comforted our mother and then bombarded me on WhatsApp. "Willow Jones, you better show up within an hour. Why do you have to be so selfish? You clearly know that mom has heart disease, yet you get her upset regardless. Is that man so great that he worth you to hold a grudge against Vinny till this day, or are you just that petty? Vinny is your blood-bonded sister." After typing this, his fingers paused on the keyboard. A few seconds later, he put away his phone and returned to greet the guests. Of course, even he himself wouldn't buy this nonsense. Vivian is his dear old sister, my dad and mom's beloved daughter. But what did that have to do with me? What made her my sister? My soul turned around and floated upstairs. I saw Vivian sitting in the dressing room, preparing for the wedding. The makeup artist was fixing her slightly smudged eye makeup. She was holding Dad's hand, her eyes misty with tears. "Dad, is it true that Willow isn't coming today? She's my sister, and today is the most important day of my life. I really hope to get her blessings." My dad, who had always been stern to the point of indifference in front of me, patted her shoulder and comforted her soothingly. "Don't worry, love. I'll have Josh contact her. We won't leave you any regrets on your bid day." I then followed him out of the room. He found Joshua in the hallway and said coldly, "Tell Willow, if she doesn't come today, we'll no longer consider her a member of this family." "Dad, she's not even responding to my messages, and she ignored all of Mom's calls," said Joshua through his gritted teeth. "I knew it. People like her are born heartless. She promised us she would come only to trick us with false hope. She means to make Vinny sad on her bid day." True, today was Vivian's big day. She was to put on an ivory white wedding gown and marry Ethan Miller, the man she had been dating for 2 years. 2 years ago, when I brought Ethan home, Vivian fell in love with him at first sight. I still remember that moment when she saw Ethan. Her eyes lit up as if a fire started within her petite body and was eating her away. That night, she found an excuse to ask me out for a walk. She bought me a cup of coffee and walked arm in arm with me, swaying back and forth, an intimate posture she had never done, and said, "Willow, Ethan is so my type. I'd kill to be with someone like him, but you deserve so much better. So, can I have Ethan? I'm sure you'll find someone that is more fit." I refused, but not long after we went back to campus, Ethan broke up with me. I repeatedly asked him for the reason, waiting at the gate of his dorm all night trying to get a proper explanation, but avoided me for nearly a week. In the end, he probably got tired of me hanging around for his explanation and confronted me. I was overjoyed that he finally decided to talk and ran to him, but he pushed me away, hard. I fell to the ground. My palms were scraped by the rough surface of the pavement and bled. I gasped in the sharp pain, but what I heard next hurt me even more. He remained indifferent and looked at me with disgust in his eyes. Do you think you can hide your disgusting history forever? Gosh, how do you live with yourself? Even your family couldn't stand you. They told me everything. I was shocked beyond words and could only watch his sneer and despise. It was later that I knew that it was set up by my own family. One morning a week ago, my mom suddenly asked me to go grocery shopping with her. I remembered feeling happy about mom being willing to shop with me, for it was a rare privilege for an unwanted child like me. What I didn't know was that my brother, Joshua, took the time when I was away and pulled Ethan aside, feeding him all kinds of truths about me, my corrupt personality, my stealing problem, my history of being a bully in high school, my countless sex partners, my abortion. In the end, Joshua the just sighed. Willow is my sister and I really want to take her side if I can, but I just can't stand by doing nothing and watch a nice guy like you fall into her trap. Sitting on the ground with my broken palms still throbbing, I looked up at Ethan and listened to him recount the facts of my miserable life. As the last syllable fell, I suddenly burst into laughter. He frowned and asked, "Do you want to say something for yourself?" I shook my head and said with a calm smile, "They're right about everything." Ethan didn't love me that deeply, clearly not deep enough that he would believe my side of the truth. Moreover, the person who told him how bad I had been was my family, my closest and most beloved family. No one cared about me when I was alive, and of course, no one would care about me after I died. As Dad and Joshua were speaking, Ethan arrived. He was wearing a dashing tux, and had styled his hair, looking even more handsome than usual. After greeting the two in front of the door, he knocked and got in. He kissed Vivian on the cheek and asked softly, "Willow still isn't here?" Vivian nodded with tears in her eyes. "Forget about her." Ethan's face darkened. "If she came, she would only ruin our wedding. Vinny, today is our big day. Don't you shed tears for someone who isn't worth it." Vivian threw her arms around his neck and looked up at him with carefully calculated puppy eyes. "Be that as it may, Willow is still my sister." She looked genuine and sincere when she said those words. I would have believed that she really cared about me if I didn't know better, but I did. 3 years ago, I was selected as the school's outstanding graduate and was to give a speech at the graduation ceremony as a representative. The school suggested that my parents attend the graduation ceremony to say a few words on stage in the hope of promoting the school's profile. I carefully chose my words and called home, repeatedly organizing my thoughts as I made the request to my mother. She agreed. The moment I heard the emotionless, "Okay," I got so happy that I hopped in joy while covering my mouth, fearful that I would let out a cheerful scream. However, on the morning of the ceremony, she called me again to say that she and my father couldn't make it. "Vinny is sick. We don't feel comfortable leaving her at home alone." As if to prove something, she Skyped me and showed me how ill Vivian was. The camera shifted to Vivian, who wore a mask that covered most parts of her face. She seemed to be quite apologetic as she spoke. "I'm sorry, Willow. I'm feeling not that well. You've always been an independent kid. I'm sure you can handle it brilliantly, even if Dad and Mom aren't there. Willow, congratulations on your graduation. Have fun. Have fun." How could I have any fun? On the day of my graduation, I did nothing but apologize. I apologized to the principal who prepared a speech specially for this occasion. I apologized to my dean who was to meet with them after the event. I apologized to the staff from the activity center who was responsible for the whole procedure of the ceremony. As I passed by the cameras placed in front of the stage, I overheard those staff complaining, "We had already rehearsed so many times, and now we have to do it all over again. What a mess. And she is supposed to be an excellent graduate." At the end of the ceremony, I took out my phone and happened to see Vivian's latest Instagram post. "It's just a cold, but Dad and Mom were so worried. Serendipity in life. You guys are the best. Love ya." The post included a family photo of the three of them. It was taken in Vivian's bedroom. They didn't even go to the hospital. Wow, she must be really sick.